So my first question is, how did you personally get into pursuing GI Psych as a career?
That's a good question. Wow. Maybe I do need you to send me these things.
Okay. We can do either.
So I think I went to graduate school knowing that I wanted to work with kids and teens with health conditions because I've always been interested in the intersection between mental health and physical health and how your mental health can really be impacted by what's happening with you physically. And GI is just sort of a very natural place for that to overlap with itself and really be dealing with a lot of the mental health, physical health crossover. So it was just kind of a good fit for me from there.
Cool. Okay, my next question is, this is like relatively kind of a new side of the medical industry. It's definitely research that's in its infancy. Like, there was so many times that I was like trying to Google stuff for my project and it was like, we don't know why this happens. So my question is, how do you think it'll evolve as we begin to like dig into it more and like uncover more stuff?
Oh, wow. It's going to go into crazy areas. I think they're going to find so much more, I think what we consider like biology or sort of like classic science stuff that really backs up a lot of the things that we've been talking about. And so there's a lot of work being done on like the gut biome and like what bacteria are in your digestive system and how those bacteria are actually related to your mood and how you process anxiety and all kinds of emotional experiences. So I think it's actually going to just get more and more sciencey, for lack of a better word, where they're going to like really be pinpointing like specific cells and things like that. The other thing is we talk a lot about nerves in the GI tract, and one of the hard parts is that we can't see the nerves to tell when they're like being hypersensitive or kind of like triggered or flare. I think that's totally going to change, where we're going to be able to get imaging that can show people a little bit more clearly what their diagnosis is and stuff like that.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, so I think it's actually going to explode. I think people are really interested in it. I know I have a family friend who's in Florida, not related to anything I do at all, and she's a neuropsychologist, and she's studying how the GI tract is related to like Alzheimer's disease and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Completely separately. So I think it's going to... I think they're going to find that the GI tract is kind of related to like so many different diseases and conditions, and it's going to explode.
Cool. I agree. I think it's going to get crazy. Okay. So in your work, in your time in this field, have you noticed that there's more of a specific type of person that tends to struggle with these, like young women, elderly people? Like, have you ever seen a common trend?
It affects everyone, and it affects everyone differently. So there's a lot, because I predominantly work with kids, right? There's a whole nother world of like adult GI psychology, that there are tons of adults who are having similar issues that we see in kids that I don't even touch. But there are lots of little kids that we see that have like lots of constipation issues, and that's part of the mind-gut interaction. And then a lot of school-age kids who have a lot of anxiety around school and making friendships and things like that. That's part of the mind-gut. And then certainly in adolescence, when we see like big developmental leaps in different directions with like trying to kind of find your identity and all that kind of stuff, there's a ton of GI stuff that pops up then. So I don't think any one person or one type of person gets targeted more. It just looks different in different groups.
Yeah. That's cool. That's a good way to think about it. Okay, this is my last question. Okay, so like SparkNotes definition, like if you had to break it down to like people that wouldn't know anything about it, how would you describe the mind-gut connection?
Yeah, so this is how I say it for everyone. Your brain and your gut are best friends, and they are talking to each other back and forth all day, every day. So pick whatever your favorite platform is, if it's TikTok, if it's Instagram, if it's video games, if it's just like old school text messaging, whatever your thing is, your brain and your gut are doing it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So when your gut feels something or experiences something, it sends it up to your brain. And when your brain feels something or experiences something, it sends it down to your gut. When we're sad, we cry, we eat lots of ice cream, we watch Grey's Anatomy reruns, we do things like that, right? But when your gut is sad, it like has belly pain or it has nausea or it has vomiting. It acts up in the way it knows how to act up. And so that is sort of how I describe the mind gut connection for most people, for like when we're having big emotions and we start feeling these physical symptoms that are coming along with it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, well, that was all my questions.